Welcome to Bhagwan Ki Baatein, the YouTube channel where we talk only and only about God. In the ongoing series, Stories of Great Saints, we brought to you in the past some of the incidents from the life of great saints which mattered so much. Continuing with the series, today we present before you incidents from the life of another great saint, King Saatvik and Karmabai. For those of you who haven't heard who they were, I'm sure this narration will help you getting to know them. So at Jagannath, there was a king by the name of Saatvik. Nothing aside from God was pleasing to his heart. This sacred city of Jagannath, Vadya, is truly a heavenly city amongst mortals. There the life of the world lives in the avatarship of Buddha, and there he performs all his Leela. The king living by the eastern sea was rightly called Saatvik, which incidentally means truthful. The eagle-bannered one was always very favorable to him. 3 times a day at the time of worship, the king came and seated himself at the temple. Receiving as his favor a tulsi leaf, he afterwards would sit down to eat. Garments, ornaments, adornments, daily food, he used to offer to Lord. If uninvited guests should come, the king himself gave them food. He kept a light burning night and day in the temple. He provided a place for free food and gave to those he thought were worthy. Food and water he gave to every creature. Now it happened on a certain day that the king sat by the great door of the temple. In order to pass the time, he began to play some gambling game. Laughingly, he threw down the dice and had no consciousness of what he was doing. Just then at the great door of the temple, a priest came to distribute favors. In order to receive a favor, the king put forward his left hand, and the priest felt that this was a very strange act. Because he presented his left hand, the priest went back again in the temple. When the king had finished his playing dice, he asked the people regarding the favors which the priest had been distributing. They replied, "When he distributed them around you, put out your left hand." Therefore the priest went back again into the temple. Hearing this, the king was startled. "My former deeds were wrong, I know. Later they have appeared in the form of a dice. Discarding nectar, I have drunk intoxicating liquor. So I think. So it is as if I had allowed the wish tree to wither away and gave water to the Sindhi tree. In playing with the dice, the same thing happened to me, I think. Just as if in picking up charcoal, a treasure of money should be lost, so the same has happened to me, I think, in playing with the dice. Or as if someone should take a handful of ashes and the kasturi, it's called the musk, paste should disappear. I think the same has happened to me in playing with the dice. Driving away the royal swan, I kept a crow. I cut down the sandalwood tree and planted a hingan. So I think the same has happened to me while playing with the dice. Or just as when a Brahmin gets up and goes away when he sees a monk, so it happened to me in playing with the dice. The king was very repentant and did not go again into the temple. So the one who listens to surreptitiously to the service, the king sat quietly at the door of the temple. He said, "My hand has committed a great wrong and I must punish it." Saying this, he devised a plan. He called his minister and told him his thought. "When sleeping at night in my palace, I am visited by a ghost. He puts his hand in through the window and I become greatly frightened. So you remain by my bed and cut off his hand." The minister replied, "Your wish is my command. When the ghost appears, I'll cut off his hand." He then took a sharp instrument, and at night he sat hiding himself. The lights were burning in the palace, and the minister remained awake. waiting for the ghost. He proposed as soon as the ghost appeared, and he would cut off his hand. At that moment, the king put out his own hand through a window, and the minister took his instrument and immediately cut off the hand. The moment the hand fell down, minister recognized it. He was overwhelmed with sobs and threw himself down upon the ground. He moaned aloud. Just then the king came inside and said, "My hand was my enemy, therefore I had cut it off. Let your mind be at rest." He then placed his hand in a palanquin and sent it by the hand of messengers to the great door of the temple. The king said to them, "Go now to the great door of the temple and say to Jagannath, 'You are husband of Rukmini, listen to the list of my transgressions. With an evil heart I played with dice, therefore I did not receive your favor, that which has transgressed your command. I have sent to you in the form of my hand. I find that amongst my organs of action, my hand was the transgressor. I have therefore punished it and sent it to you. It may have killed some, and they were innocent. It may have stolen some time from you. Therefore I immediately punished my hand and have sent it to you. Intoxicated with pride, it may have hunted in the forest. That transgressor, I sent it to you. It had not worshipped you. It has been a great killer, an evil doer, and evil minded. O being of the goodness, you know how great an evil doer it is. It has not served the saints. It has not worshipped you, O Keshav. So I have sent this evil hand to you. O Jagannath, punish it as it may seem right to you." Giving this message to the messengers, he sent them to the door of the temple. They took the hand to the great door of the temple and told God in reference to it. There were cries of "Victory, victory," and the Vaishnavas showered upon it flowers and fragrant powder. They exclaimed, "Blessed is the king. Although engaged in domestic affairs, he is indifferent to all worldly things." Putting the responsibility upon God, he cut off his own hand. Innumerable men and women receive their perishable bodies, but they do not complete the full purpose of life, because not holding in their hearts the husband of Janki, Lord Ram. Many men wander from country to country in order to gain their livelihood. They spend their lives in all kinds of ways, but they do not die worshipping God. The moment they are afflicted with a 9 days fever, they go through 14 different fasts. But these unfortunate ones do not perform good deeds in this world by observing Ekadashi. Even those friends quarrel if in their business a shell's worth is lost. But shameless ones who have no good in them from their former births do not sing the good qualities of Hari. If robbers rob them of their wealth, they wring their hands and take no action. But the evil-minded do not make their lives at all valuable by spending their wealth on those who are worthy of it. Such is the condition seen in the practices of this Kali Yuga. Many are desirous of these illusionary things, but we know that King Saatvik was a man of great devotion. Thus spoke the Vaishnavas, saints, to one another. Suddenly an extraordinary thing took place. The hand which the king had cut off turned suddenly into a davan plant. It was taken at once and planted in a garden. The priest in their love brought the favors of Hari. The king had lost all concern for his body, and he put out just the stump of the hand he had cut off. But as soon as he put it out, it became just as it was before. The Bhaks therefore shouted, "Victory, victory," and were greatly astonished. And with these words ends the story, very brief story and an incident from the life of the great saint Saatvik, King Saatvik as he was called. We promise to be back with you in the next capsule in the series called Stories of Great Saints, with the story of the great saint Karmabai. Until then, goodbye, good luck, and Sadat Pranam.